When a storm comes and you're being swept away, sometimes all you can do is panic and hit the alert. I'm Brandon Piller from the Locked On Senators podcast, joined by Jack Richardson as the Ottawa Senators fall 4-1 to the Carolina Hurricanes. And this postcast is brought to you by our friends over at the Glebe Central Pub. You guys know the Glebe Central Pub is our pub in the heart of the nation's capital, 779 Bank Street. Go check them out. Check out the website. You can get tickets for the shuttle. They got the rest of the home games till the Olympic break available. And look, misery loves company. So why not be with other Sens fans? Go from the bar to the game, from the game back to the bar, and be amongst friends. Do it with our friends over at the Glebe Central Pub. Jack, here we are. It's a 4-1 loss at home to the Carolina Hurricanes, and you just spent a full, 3 hours covering this game live. Shout out to you. Shout out to the live stream we've been doing. How are you feeling, buddy?
I surprisingly at a loss for words, given I've said what I think I needed to say on that live watch party. Lots of fans in there with me, Pillsy, saying the same things, man. This is rock bottom. This is absolutely rock bottom. That was such a lifeless game. And they pushed at the end, but the Hurricanes just sat back, didn't have to do anything. Sens didn't even generate any high danger chances at the end, I don't think, in my mind. So there's not much to be positive about. I got a lot of it out, so this is obviously your chance. It's a vent cast for Pillsy tonight, which is a big one. And obviously, everyone's got one question for you, Pillsy, and it was asked in the chat, like while I was there. And I'll let you take the floor.
Positive Pillsy is dead. I've held off hundreds, thousands of Sens fans have already pressed the panic button. Some of them days ago, some of them games ago, some of them weeks ago, some of them months ago. And I've been ridiculed. I've been heckled at Pillsy. If you've got the panic button and you're doing this whole panic button bit, why haven't you pressed it yet? And I said, look, there's no logical explanation. It's not like if X, Y, Z happens, you press the panic button. If they're at this point with this many points, with these guys hurt at this game of the season, then you press the panic button. It's all about feel. You never tell another man how to press their panic button. And I came into this weekend with hope. Having hope up against the Carolina Hurricanes and Vegas Golden Knights, two teams that have had this team, the Ottawa Senators, number for a long time. Probably a foolish thing, but at desperate times call for desperate measures. And at this point, I can't hold off any longer. Like it would be a joke not to. I was hoping I could get to Monday. Maybe they find a way to get 4 points, maybe 3 points up against two big teams here. But while the Ottawa Senators continue to fail, and every other team in the East, every other team in the Atlantic Division seems to find ways to succeed, the season might not be over, Jack, but it is indeed time to panic. I haven't pressed this in a while. I don't even know what noises it makes. This is not a drill. This is not a joke. It is Saturday, January 24th, 10:26 p.m. And Pillsy is panicking.
Yeah, I heard a little something. Wow, I mean, lit up though. He's not just hitting it, folks. He's smashing it. There we go. It's time. That's a monumental moment right there.
That's it.
It's unfortunate.
I try to hold off. I try to stay strong. I try to be the optimistic one on this podcast and this group for this fan base. And I can't do it anymore. We're sitting here after a 4-1 loss at home, nowhere near a playoff spot, 7 points out, and that the standings probably haven't even updated yet. This team is 3-5-2 in their last 10. And again, that's probably not even updating totally yet. I'm not sure. I can't even keep track of the losses. Pretty much everyone's healthy. Our Vezina goalie is not available right now. The Ottawa Senators had to sign a 37-year-old guy who hadn't played all year, mid-game getting absolutely destroyed by the Colorado Avalanches. This team does not have their first round pick to fall back on. This team does not have assets to acquire guys to help. There's not up and coming prospects that are ready to take over. The goaltending, they've tried Linus Ullmark, Levi Merilainen, Hunter Shepard, Mad Sogard, James Reimer. They don't have a guy that's going to bring the stability they need. They've been one of the worst penalty kills for the entire season. Cool. We switched coaches that are taking over the penalty kill. I don't know if that's going to change anything. These guys, and I think the reason why I have to panic, Jack, is because it sounds crazy, and people are going to say Pillsy sounds like Travis Green here, but this team actually is playing decently. And if you're going to play this way and go through all these goalies and be healthy, and you still can't find ways to win, and you're shooting yourself in the foot, letting 2-goal lead slip, letting a 3-0 lead slip against the Nashville Predators, and scoring on yourself during a 5-on-3 tonight, like, I don't know how they're going to find ways to win. It's not like there's an injured guy that's going to come back and save the season. Maybe a goalie could do it. We're a hashtag goalie friendly show. We've seen a hamburger run before, but I'm not banking on that. It's possible, but I'm not banking on it. You don't have assets to acquire big names. Not a lot of big names are going to want to be here. So you better, if you're going to do that, you better make sure they're signed long-term. We can't have a guy on RFA. That's not a warm and cozy feeling. We've dealt with that. You can't get rentals. You don't have prospects to trade away. Guys are locked up here. They're losing at home. All the other Atlantic teams are having fun. They're having a blast. Montreal's popping off. Detroit's one of the best teams in the East. Buffalo is an absolute wagon. And this team's going nowhere fast. It is time to panic because I don't know how things can change for this team. I don't know how they can get better. I don't know. There's no reinforcements coming. Stevie is staying steady. He's sleeping at the wheel. Who knows what he's going to be able to do, if anything. Most likely, this team's going to have to trade away assets to try to recoup some draft capital, because right now their highest draft pick is the Buffalo Sabres second-round pick, and we thought that was going to be pick number 33. Jack, that might be near the end of the second round, the way things are looking here. Ross and I are going to do prospect profiles. We can't cover anyone in the top 50 because the Sens won't be picking anywhere close to that. So it is absolutely time to panic. Usually I'm the composed one, but this time I'm at a loss, Jack, and I hope you guys enjoy this panic because it doesn't happen to me very often. And good news, we get to play the Vegas Golden Knights tomorrow with God knows who in net.
Mark Stone coming back to town just to haunt us once again. I think that was top of the line right there, Pillsy. That was perfect. You said it all. You hit on everything. That was a well-earned panic button. So give yourself a stick tap, in my opinion here as your co-host for the night. I think this is the most frustrated I've ever been watching this hockey team play hockey. There are so many things off the ice that we can get mad at. I think Steve Staios is a guy we're going to talk about a ton tonight. Travis Green's a guy we're going to talk a ton tonight. I don't think I've ever been more angry with the players though than I am tonight. And everything. I want to say this because he had a fantastic game. I think everyone except for Tim Stützle, and I'm including everyone except for Tim Stützle is on the hook tonight. He was the only guy who looked like he was mad to be down 4-0 at home. He's the only guy who went out there and looked like he was trying to make a difference. The only guy. Sanderson's usually in that boat. He had a bad game. He had a bad game tonight. He did. So
Sanderson taking penalties is crazy.
Two high-sticking ones, and they were bad penalties, man. Like,
yeah,
talk about that. That's just uncharacteristic, and it started the game like that. To start that game the way they did tonight, knowing how the one in Nashville ended, is more than concerning. It's a trend. And I'm starting to say uncharacteristic, but this kind of game is very characteristic of this entire team, not just under Travis Green, under DJ Smith, this core group of players. Thomas Chabot, who's turning 29 years old next week or this week or whatever it is, has been a loser on this team more often than not. They know how to lose games and they know how to go on losing streaks. And we keep seeing it. And in a season where your rivals are doing well, The Atlantic Division's just the hottest of all time. It's a competitive division. After a year, you made the playoffs and you were fourth in this division. For them to be in the basement, I'll tell you what, man, they looked like the last place team in the Atlantic Division tonight for the first time in a while. I really did think that. So you could talk about goaltending. Reimer was terrible tonight, but playing him 4 times in 6 days is a joke.
What do you expect? Yeah.
He's played more times in the last 6 days than he has all season, Pilsy.
Yep.
I mean, no matter what level. This game was over on Jarvis's goal, which was Zetterlund puck watching in the corner. It goes cross ice across 3 guys. Sanderson's late to react, and then boom, back of your net. We'll get big picture, I think, tonight more than anything, but I'm just tired of breaking down losses where they have 35 shots and 1 goal. You know, box score wise, this looks like one of those games again. And you say, goaltending got us again. I just don't think this team has the character to overcome poor goaltending. And I think that's the bottom line.
Well, let's see if I can pull this box score up. Can everyone still hear me? Last time I did this, we lost we lost audio. All right. So producer Pillsy doing a little bit better here. So the Carolina Hurricanes 4-1 win. Sens outshoot them 36-19. Carolina Hurricanes power play 1 for 4. Sens 0 for 4. They dominate in the faceoff dot as they typically do. 67.9% of the faceoffs won for the Sens. 35 hits for Ottawa, 15 blocks. Hurricanes 12 hits, 14 blocks. The 5-on-5 expected goals percentage. Again, the Sens are in the right number there. So that's just where I look at it, Jack, and I'm like, that's an extra reason to panic because you got more shots. The 5-on-5 expected goals is better. You're dominating faceoffs. Now, I know some of that is score effects, but that's typically how the Ottawa Senators scorecard looks here is they're playing better. They have opportunities to win, and they can't find ways to win. And you got your guys here. You mentioned Tim Stützle played a great game. Sure, Jake Sanderson, rare off night, but that's another reason to look at this team in panic. You've got your cornerstone guys playing some of the best hockey of their career. Like, this is the Tim Stützle we've been hoping for after last year. He took a bit of a step back. This is the Jake Sanderson we've been hoping for most of the season after he started off last year terribly. This is the Ridley Gregg we've been waiting to emerge, and he's been really good lately. There's so many guys where you can look at, like Claude Giroux keeping it going for the most part. Dylan Cousins scoring on the power play. Like, you're getting the performances and what you're kind of hoping from these guys overall, but on a night-to-night basis, the sum of the parts of these players just isn't enough to win hockey games and to beat other teams. And let's say by some sort of miracle, they do find a way to get into the playoffs. They can't compete with these other teams in 7-game series. Like, there's just no way if they're letting games slip away like this and they don't have that sense of urgency and they're going down 3-0 in a big game at home in the first half of back-to-back up against an Eastern Conference team that the Carolina Hurricanes are that structured, strong team with lots of depth, good coaching. If you let them get off to a lead, you're toast. And they let it happen.
And you're right. That's a team they'd play if they sneak in.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, what chance would they have there?
Exactly. Like that's why, Pilsy, like, I'm thinking more big picture tonight. And I said that in the first period during the watch party. I was like, this has to be a big picture talk. There's so much to break down with Steve Staios, who at this point, I think deserves the nickname Sleepy Steve and not Steady Steve because of what's happened this season, man. Like, I think, and I'm going to talk about Ullmark. And again, I'm not at all putting any of this on Ullmark. I don't think that that's fair given what he was so forward and transparent about. And I'm going to do my best to respect that. I totally understand, though, the fan base getting angry about that. Just given how things are going, I understand that. Don't get me wrong. But from the team's perspective, to not address goaltending, knowing your starting goalie and a guy you committed to isn't right, is just inexcusable. And the fact that they were banking on Levy to be the guy after 12 games as a rookie, where he was kind of like you mentioned earlier, just playing with house money, whereas now he's like playing for a contract, like That's where it starts to me. And then it falls further to the team and the leadership to not be able to power through some of that goaltending this season. Not even when Ullmark left, when he was here. They pissed away tons of points in November and October when Ullmark was here and not playing well. Lots of games they should have won that they didn't.
Surprisingly, November was actually a decent month for them, which is usually their cursed month.
It was, and we're going to have to get there because their record without Brady this year and the record with them is so drastically different that you can't not talk about it at this point, and it just becomes worse and worse with each game now. I don't know what it is yet, but I'll have to look. I just know what they were without him, and we'll talk about that in a bit, I think. But to me, it's just the inability for this team to power through that kind of adversity where your goaltending is not that good. They're about to see a team tomorrow in Vegas who has a very bad team save percentage as well, and they're first in the Pacific. And why? Because they have guys who find a way out of it. They find a way to outscore their problems. They coach well. Whatever it is, man. Like, their team save percentage is just as bad, and they're first in the division. And that's just character. That's not giving up on nights like Thursday where they were 3-3, middle of the third period, no good a point. You know? There's just so much to unpack, and I think big picture, it's a can of worms of concern. That's my biggest thing.
Yeah, and Jack, we're going to talk more big picture after the break. And just quickly, though, like you talk about the team and the players for Vegas. How about the management for Vegas? Willing to do whatever it takes to build a winning team. How about the management for the next team the Ottawa Senators are going to play in the Colorado Avalanche? Another team willing to do what it takes to build a winning roster. So it doesn't get any easier for the Ottawa Senators here. They've got their work cut out for them, but times can get easier and better when you're amongst friends and in the right places at the right time. And you can do that at the GCP. You guys know the postcast is brought to you by our friends over at the GCP. We love the Glebe Central Pub at 779 Bank Street. Anytime we're back in Ottawa at the nation's capital, you know you can more than likely bump into us there. We're already got the wheels in motion for our next trip back home to Ottawa. Look at mid-March. 2 games up against the San Jose Sharks and Anaheim Ducks. We're eyeing those as times to come home. Ross already is getting it ready. I'm getting it ready. And we're going to plan to be at the GCP. And you can go there too. And not just for hockey. They got all sorts of fun stuff going on. Trivia, wing night, open mic, anything that you like, you can celebrate with your friends over at the GCP. Great food, great drinks, great people, cheap tacos also, and their live music has no cover ever. So whether it's hockey, live music, or just a night out with friends, make Glebe Central Pub your home base because, as you know, the vibes are free at the GCP. This episode is also brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode every game day during the NFL playoffs. FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts you can apply to the bets you like most. Open up that profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boosts you want to apply. Usually profit boost pack, parlay profit boost, and then you've got a no sweat token sometimes hanging in there. So check it out for yourself. Every play feels bigger, and the boosts make your bets feel that way too. You make your picks, then apply your profit boost to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. All right, guys. Brandon Piller here with Jack Richardson. It's the Locked On Senators podcast. It's the postcast. No, it's the Ventcast. No, it's the Panic Cast. And I didn't want to have to go there. Positive pills, he's dead. Pessimistic pills, he rises from the ashes and panics. After a 4-1 loss to the Carolina Hurricanes at home, and things aren't looking good. Jack, we were talking about management and decision-making and why the Sens are in a position they are right now. And the knife just keeps getting twisted deeper and deeper. Let's start zooming in on this game. The Ottawa Senators started 37-year-old James Reimer, who they signed, a week ago? He hadn't played an NHL game. Couple games, actually really good. And you start feeling good that you brought in a veteran to stabilize things. That's cool. The Carolina Hurricanes, they started a goalie that they picked up on waivers, and he's been an absolute stud, putting up record numbers in Brandon Bussey. You got to hand it to the kid. Absolutely incredible. As a goalie-friendly show, you hate to see it against you, but overall, he hasn't. It's not like we just got goalied by a random guy. He's been doing this to teams all over the league, so you got to tip your hat to him. Sweet. The Buffalo Sabres got a shutout tonight from the goalie I said all off season long. This is the guy the Sens should target, Alex Lyon. The Sabres paid him $1.5 million for 2 seasons, and they got their safety net because they weren't sure if Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen was going to be the guy. They, who's their young goalie there? Devin Levi. Similar kind of spot and NHL experience to Levi Merilainen.
Good comparable, yeah.
And they weren't ready to be like, let's throw him into the backup position. We're going to roll with UPL and him. Heck, they even got that Ellis guy who's been decent for a couple games. So they made sure they had options when it came to being in the crease. I talked about the Colorado Avalanche. Ross and I talked about this not that long ago. They weren't happy with their goaltending. And they said, you know what? Screw it. We're going to trade both our guys and get in 2 brand new guys and revamp the crease completely. Now, the Ottawa Senators, I mean, they did do that a little bit. Like when you look at Corpy and Forsberg as the tandem not that long ago. Now you're looking at Ullmark and Levi Merilainen was the plan. But there's just so many other teams that I feel like are put themselves in better positions to succeed than the Ottawa Senators did this offseason.
Yeah, to me, it's complacency. Like they got complacent with where they were last season. Staios made a bit, didn't make a big deal. He doesn't make a big deal about a lot in his pressers. He's very stoic and stable, I should say. And I'm fascinated to see what we see now with this season being the disaster it is. He'll probably speak soon. Anyway. He put the onus on the players. He said our core group is young and we've got a lot of, I think we have internal growth to have. And then you look at the season that Tim Stützle and Jake Sanderson are having, and you look at what management's done this season. They've signed James Reimer. That's it. It's game 51. You're 9 points out of a playoff spot, I think. Dead last in your division for what's felt like a month now. They've been dead last in the Atlantic for at least a month. And he signed James Reimer. That's it. Without a first-round pick, knowing the situation, knowing how hungry this market is. He's done nothing at all except sign James Reimer. It's unacceptable, man. If it was Pierre Dorion up there right now, we would have such a different opinion of this. The fact that it's Steve Staios, and the market's starting to turn. We see it every day. Like we're doing this every single day. I see it in the chat. I see it on Twitter. People are fed up with Staios. It's happened, but it's almost happened overnight. For a guy who's made so many, calculated trades and so many moves just to fix this roster up around the edges, right? And kind of support the core, and how much we've praised them because on the surface, they were great moves. But the inability so far this season to not look what they're facing, look at this stretch of games here, and to sign James Reimer as your only signing and move this season, it's fireable.
Yeah. And the issue, Jack, is it's too little too late. Like, I think maybe if they pulled the James Reimer signing card a couple weeks earlier and you had a little bit more time to go for that, like, I think as the moment Linus Ullmark goes on personal leave of absence, you got to be doing that. And now at that time, I was saying, I think you got to see what you got with the goalies here. But I was mostly saying that because Steve Staios doubled down in front of the media saying, we're confident in our goalie depth here. And it took him a couple of days to go back on that and get a guy off the street to come in and play because he wasn't confident in the goalie depth.
They were confident in their goaltending depth. He had that press conference before Ullmark goes on leave, but he said depth. We're confident in our goaltending depth. That includes Merilainen, who maybe they were confident in him doing what he did last season. That's fair. Despite how he looked in training camp and how he looked leading up to that, he was terrible. Forced the team to play Ullmark a lot.
Yeah.
He's out indefinitely. He's been out for a month now. And then you go to your depth. Hunter Shepard played a half a game. Mads Sogard, I think, played 12 minutes.
And neither of those guys got the benefit of getting a start either.
They got thrown in the middle of a game, and then started Levi Marilainen in 10 straight games, including 2 back-to-backs, and sent him down. The management of the crease this season has been a joke. It's been a joke. It hasn't been professional at all. That's the best way I can put it. It looks like a guy who's managed a junior team, to be honest, Spilsy. And I've been a huge Steve Staios guy. I really have. From the minute he was here, when Dorion got traded, got fired, every trade he's made, I've been so, this makes sense for this core. He's stabilized the organization off the ice, which has been great. But the handcuffed nature that it's felt like this season at the top is just something I can't explain. And I think I'm at the point, I don't think Travis Green is to blame for the season. Game to game, maybe. Nashville, I had my gripes with him tonight. The start, unacceptable on the coach. The power play has been terrible. No changes. The PK finally gets a change, whatever. I'm at the point where I think that Travis Green needs to be a sacrificial lamb for this fan base, because you need to prove that you care about winning this season. That's not best in class what they're doing. You're losing hockey games. I think they're 500 at home or worse. It's January. I'm just so pathetic. I'm so fed up, man. I can't believe it happened. I just can't believe it.
And you look at it, and I'm not in the fire green camp just yet, because again, I think that's a reason why I'm panicking, is because I think this team has found ways to play decent hockey that just can't win games. You can't put all that on the coach when goaltending is that bad. There's only so much you can do. Obviously, there's adjustments that probably needed to be made to the penalty kill. But overall, I do think Travis Green has been doing a good enough job to get this team where they need to go. Now, sometimes you just need to make a change to make a change. Exhibit A, the Columbus Blue Jackets. They were right there with the Ottawa Senators in the bottom of the Eastern Conference. And obviously, I think there's different circumstances going there. I'm not fully privy to knowing the Columbus Blue Jackets team story and everything that's going on, but it seemed like the players and Dean Evison weren't really seeing eye to eye anymore, and that was a cultural change that had to happen. I don't think that's the case in Ottawa. If I'm being honest, I don't think that's the case at all. But the management team and the ownership obviously got together and said, hey, we need to make a change here. And they make that change, and they hire a coach in his 70s who pretty much, at least to me, I thought was for sure retired, but they were like, doesn't matter. Let's get a change. And they've been hot pretty much ever since.
They've passed the Ottawa Senators tonight, by the way. They won tonight.
Yeah.
Sens are second last in the Eastern Conference.
That really turned it around. And again, I know lots of people are looking for change at the head coaching position. I'm not there. I think there's other things that need to be looked at here, but sometimes you do need to have change just for sake of change and to hold accountability. But it's tough, because you look at this group now, like when DJ Smith got fired, this group took that very personally, and it didn't really give them that new coach bump that you were hoping for. But now, again, totally different circumstances. And hey, shout out Jacques Martin.
I was going to say,
Ring of Honor member.
The guy they put in, yeah.
He comes in, ironically. But maybe how about this, Jack? We take a quick breather, and then after the break, we try to come up with solutions and ideas to not even necessarily turn the season around, but just in the short term to try to stop the bleeding, to try to stop this bad momentum. People in the chat, let us know if you guys have ideas, because this has been a Ventcast, Panic Cast.
Oh, yeah.
I usually like to end things off at least on a more positive note, so we'll try to do that. You're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast. All right, guys. Brandon Piller here with Jack Richardson. It's the Locked On Senators podcast. It's the postcast presented by the Glebe Central Pub. Jack, I was doing dry January. Keyword was, note the date, Saturday, January 24th. I had to bust out the rum and cokes. It's February for me. Dry January is over. I'm trying to get a little healthy, lose a couple lbs for my wedding coming up here, and I just said, you know what, I can't. I need a crutch here. I need some help to get through these Ottawa Senators games. And I was late coming home today. I missed the first period, and I was like, all right, I expect them to be maybe not winning, but let's turn on the TV, see how my Ottawa Senators are doing after the first. Down 3-0. Dry January. Done. So that's tough.
They didn't lose the second or third period. They tied the second period and then tied the third period. So there's a positive. No, I don't blame you, Pilsy, and making it this far with how this team's played is impressive. I'll put it that way. Yeah, it was just a bad start. It's a tough start, and I don't. We'll get into big picture. I don't want Green gone. I think Green's done a great job with this group. Getting guys like he's gotten the best out of Tim Stützle. So that alone, I think, is a reason for him to stay. If Timmy and Sanderson were like not looking their best and like you saw them getting frustrated with the coach and there was stuff coming out about that, different story, but there isn't any of that. So I'm with you. I just think to prove to the fan base that you know the situation, that there's no benefit to finishing in the bottom as a lottery team this season because you don't have a pick. Trying to change something to salvage something this season, I think would be worth it. And I know that makes Green in a tough spot, but look, Columbus fired their coach and Green and Evison were hired at the exact same time last season. So that's why I say that.
And the one thing you said right there, Jack, is the main reason why I think I got to press this again. Don't panic, now panic, because normally, Jack, in sports and in life, when you lose, when you're down, there's usually some karma or, there's someone there to pick you up when you're down. But the Ottawa Senators don't have that. In sports, usually the teams that do badly in the season, the league says, you know what, here you go. We'll give you a good draft pick. Try to get some good players. Try to turn things around. But the Ottawa Senators don't have that. And honestly, we could talk about how ridiculous it is that Michael Andlauer and Steve Stais inherited a team that lost their draft pick because of a debacle in a no move clause in a trade that happened years ago. And the Ottawa Senators weren't even involved in the trade when that trade clause needed to be upheld. It's just a complete gong show. And how other teams in the past, the New Jersey Devils, have had their pick penalty pushed back or lessened in the past when it was their fault for what they did, the Devils I'm talking about. It's not fair. That's clear. And then the Ottawa Senators decide to use their pick in a year where they make the playoffs for the first time in 7 seasons in a weak draft when everybody knows that this is the deep draft with much more talent than last year. It wasn't just a hunch. It wasn't a prediction. It was basically a fact that this is such a deeper draft, and they decide to go for it. Now you got to think, hey, maybe they're convinced that they can convince Gary Bettman to give them that pick back or lessen it. Like in my mind, I think you should just make it the very last pick of the first round. Like if you still want to punish them, it should just, they have to pick after the Stanley Cup champions, whatever. Because
that's still significant though.
That's still significant for sure, but to not have that asset available to you, because keep in mind, they don't have their own second round pick either. So you don't have your first, you don't have your second, and you have Buffalo's second, and Buffalo's looking like a good team this year. So Buffalo, that's where the real panic sets in, Jack, because you don't have that safety net to fall back on, like, tough season. You can't get them all. Excuse me, but we're going to get a nice, good draft pick here, and that's going to boost us moving forward, because teams' franchises change for years to come based on who they pick in the first round. And the Ottawa Senators have squandered first-round picks on their own and now have one forfeited.
So the fact that we've been here before, Pilsy, is a problem. You mentioning 32, like just picking after the champs, made me think of drafting Shane Pinto. He was the first pick. He was 32nd overall. There were 31 teams back in 2019. And the Sens picked 32nd, which was first in the second round, because they were the worst team in the NHL. They didn't have their pick that season because they chose to select Brady Tkachuk the year before with the trade with the Avalanche. Then the Avalanche get the 4th overall pick out of it in 2019. We've been here very recently.
Oh man,
we're cursed.
Now we did get some karma with the Tim Stützle pick from the Sharks. That kind of happened.
So maybe something's coming here. Maybe, but the fact that we're back at that spot where we need good karma to go our way, I don't know, man. It sucks. But that's also why I'm saying, like, knowing that there is no, even if they had a draft pick this year, Pillsy, it's still tough to sell that in this market. This would be just as much of a disaster of a season if they had a first round pick, in my mind, because that pick wouldn't help. Like, look how long it's taken Jakubchuk to get up here. And not that it's on him. I'm in the boat. Get him up here. I want to see him now more than ever. This season's done. Let's get this kid up here. But my point is, it takes time. If you pick in the first round this year, I know it's a loaded draft, where they were maybe going to be like 15 to 20 range, whatever it may be. That pick is going to take a while to get here. That's not an immediate fix. It's not like it's the NFL and they get in the lineup right away. So it would have been tough to, look at a prospect if they get some stud from Russia. Let's say I'm making up a player right now, but then to be like getting excited about him while we have to watch the team next season with Brady Tkachuk with 2 years left on his contract. You think Brady Tkachuk's going to look at this roster and stay because they have a 2026 first round pick? You know what I mean? Like UFAs and stuff like that. Like it happens quick, but not that quick, I guess is my point, which is, so the fact they don't have one still sucks.
Yeah, and let's take a look at some of the starred comments here. Jim George K1N, thank you, appreciate it. Says back to 700 goaltending. I think it's time for a major trade. Batherson has high value, and I'm going to go to his next one here because Jim George was kind enough to hit us with 2 here. We appreciate you. To me, only safe Sens are Stützle and Sanderson. Everyone else is trade bait. Jack, based on that, he's saying Batherson high value, Stützle, Sanderson only untouchables. Is there any part of you that is like, even if it can't save this season, to change the culture and shape of this roster, you need to make a big move?
Yes.
Okay.
I was talking about on the stream, Pilsy, like going down 3-0 to that Leafs team that had never done that and like hadn't won a playoff round. They won 1 round in however many years. Maybe it was a bigger sign than we thought. Like just kind of getting pushed around by that team like they did. And I know they were close games, but one of them that stands out is game 2 against the Leafs, Batherson's giveaway. He did another one in overtime this year. He's a great player, but it's guys like that entering the prime of their career, in the prime of their career, that you got to sit here and ask yourself, are they on the trajectory of when Stützle and Sanderson will be at their best? And the answer is probably no, right? So these are the questions that are going to start happening for the rest of this season with playoffs being a lost cause. If you were making it every year, you run Batherson until the end of his contract. No doubt. Without an extension, I don't care. You just keep winning. You keep going. Try to take a crack at it. That would be the mentality. I do the same thing with Brady. That's a whole other conversation, though. But Batherson has 1 year left after this, which is crazy to say, but that's where they are. I think you have to look at that, Pilsy. And I know that that's maybe not what Sens fans want to hear, or maybe what the Sens want to hear, but he's an elite winger. If you can go and get a pick and maybe another roster player that can kind of follow the wave with, like what about an Alexis Lafreniere? Do you think Batherson moves the needle enough for that? I don't know, man. But like things like that, I could see them doing. I'm rambling here, but it's just conversations I just can't believe we're having with, and that's a whole other thing. You got to ask, like, is Andlauer ready to go right back to trading star players and not letting people finish their careers here? I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's tough. And I don't see a Drake Batherson trade where you end up getting a better player, but maybe you need to do something to change up the locker room, to bring in other assets, to try to make multiple moves. Maybe that's how you spin it, Jack. Because, I mean, at the cap hit that Drake is at, you're not going to get more cost per point value than him. He's second on this team. Like, say what you want about Drake Batherson, but he's second on this team in points with 44 points in 48 games. Now I think that's not updated to tonight.
He was having a great start too. An awesome start. He looked like the best we've ever seen him, but he's completely tailed off here since Christmas. And it's been a lot of what we know from Batherson. But like you mentioned, the cost per point, like talking value on your roster that you can do to shake it up. A guy who everyone loves. He's loved in that locker room. which they all are. It seems like a close group, but like
Yep.
that's the kind of move we're talking about to move a needle here, you know. And you look at Buffalo. Buffalo traded Dylan Cousins, and look at them now. It wasn't working, and I don't know. Maybe the team will just say we liked what we did defensively, whatever, and then just run it back with the same roster. I could see that too. I'm a bit torn on it because that's the guy who's got the value on your roster to kind of work around this core of Brady, Timmy, and Sanderson.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the guy. And then like other teams, like especially playoff contenders that are tight to the cap, looking at a guy that is basically a point per game player under $5 million this year and next, or is this his last year?
No, next season is last. 2027 UFA. He's the first of the whole core to kind of be up in unrestricted free agency. It'll be very, very fascinating, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So like that's massive value to contenders. And then if you're the Sens, you're like, well, look, we're trying to keep offensive players and
value to us,
fits in. But are we willing to pay him what he's probably going to demand on the open market? And I don't see Batherson taking a hometown discount, especially after him and his agent are probably sitting there being like, our last deal was a massive discount. Not that at the time of signing it, it was viewed that way, but it's a huge issue. And the Ottawa Senators are going to have to decide that because they don't have a lot of high value assets to move around. And at the one thing they cannot do, Jack, is let him walk to free agency. That either they have to trade him now or next year or extend him. That if he walked to free agency, that would be an absolute
disaster,
demolition of asset management. Like that would just put this team back so bad. So
before we're going pretty long here, but this is an all-time vent cast for us. If people just tuned in the middle of you talking there, they might have thought we're talking about a different player than Drake Batherson. We aren't. We're not having that discussion here. We're talking about the first winger up for UFA.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think it's a tough sell either way, but this whole season's a tough sell. This is a really, really bad beat for this franchise. After gaining so much momentum last year, the people I'm talking to, we all talk to Sens fans. A lot of my friends are Sens fans. People are checked out. People aren't going to games anymore. It's happening that quickly. You got to win. You got to win to sustain success in this market. And they haven't. And they're facing a year now, like missing the playoffs 7 out of 8 years, 8 seasons. It's really bleak, really, really bleak.
Yeah, it's tough. And
so this is what I'm saying. Like when we talk about Batherson and trading and the value and everything, at some point here, these guys don't have it to make the playoffs. The goal is to win a cup. We can't even sneak into the dance with this core. So something has to change. I don't think Josh Norris is enough of a swing, while they were riding momentum high. But Staios has proved he's able to do it. So let's see what they come up with, I guess.
And unfortunately, like the Fabian Zetterlund swing and miss has been a real
defense.
This team too. Putting
him with Amadio and Giroux or Amadio and Pinto, the defensive line, and then I think Zetterlund was a -3 tonight. Like what? That's just the wrong combination, and he was to blame on that second goal. Like he was just standing there. He has not worked out at all. Yeah, and by the way, that's where their 2026 second round pick is in that trade.
Yeah, and a valuable trade piece in a Stapchuk.
Yeah.
Again, hindsight's 2020. When the deal happened, I thought it was a great deal. When the extension happened, I wasn't overjoyed with it, but I was like, all right, that's good to get this guy locked up. We're going to see an improvement from him, but it just hasn't happened. So there's so many different things you can point at and be like, if this was different, they need to do this. Like this team's in a tough spot, and the worst part is like, you're in the toughest division in the league. You're in a tough conference. Like if they're in the West, Jack, we're probably sitting here being like, we're still in this. We're right there, or we're in a playoff spot. Like it's just insane how tough of a spot they're in and how poorly they're managing themselves and continuing to piss away points and not win games.
I have another big picture thing for you here, Pilsy. So Dorian's fault was doing too much and like reacting too quickly, and obviously he had the oversight of a different owner, which is a whole other conversation, and who knows what it would have looked like under a different owner. But anyway, his fault was doing too much and not letting this roster kind of find its way. Staios, if anything, is the opposite because he hasn't done enough for this roster to this point and hasn't really analyzed. He took a whole season, Pillsy, to sit there and analyze what coach he wants, right? Like he brought Jacques Martin in, which was very cool. Seeing that Ring of Honor, well earned, obviously, before my time as a Sens fan, very cool to see. And it's unfortunate he got that performance.
No kidding, eh? Oh.
That was an entire season that they took. They wasted an entire year doing that. Makes the Allmark trade last season such a success, but he's doing it again. He's letting the season fly by, and they're not competing with their conference, and that's all that matters. Like the West to me is a bunch of teams that know that there's a Colorado, Edmonton, and Vegas at the top, and don't really want to like go all in yet. That's why the West is so bad. It's young. And they just beat up on them. But like, yeah, you're right. The Sens would fit in that window, but they don't. They rebuilt with every other team around them. And now they're being lapped by Buffalo, Detroit, and Montreal.
And a lot of the teams that are bad in the West, Jack, like
Nashville's
they're
one
on
of them.
The rise.
Nashville's also one of them. Yeah, they were okay. They looked okay.
Yeah, and right. You look at like Chicago, there's a lot of promise there. San Jose and Anaheim are in playoff spots.
I love Anaheim. Anaheim's a great team.
Utah, they're looking good. Seattle's looking good. Like those teams are figuring it out. Okay, well, yeah, we are going long here. We appreciate everyone, 289 Sens fans, joining in my panic pressing postcast. But I did say I want to try to leave on some sort of high note or some sort of small positivity. Shout out Levi Merlainen getting a 40 save shutout tonight in Belleville. And I know people are probably like, Billsy, we don't give a damn about one Belleville win and they're barely hanging on to a playoff spot despite playing more games than anyone in the AHL. That's not where I'm going with that. It's more that looked like a broken player.
Yeah.
It looked like a guy that was pushed too hard, too much, and he was not finding his game. I think at least me, Jack, and I think you as well, and most Sens fans, were pretty confident if you put Levy back in Belleville, he was going to be able to find his game pretty quickly, and we were going to see the Levi Merlainen we know. And he's in a much more comfortable spot there, and he doesn't have that pressure on him like he did the last 10 straight starts he had here. So that's really good to see, because I think a lot of people were like, oh my God, did we just ruin another goalie prospect? The goalie graveyard in Ottawa continues, and this guy we're only in his second season and he's already toast here. So I think we can all cool it on being panicked about Levy, because goalies are voodoo. They take time. I mean, look, Brandon Bussey, perfect example. Like
29, I think.
Yeah, that, and
he's old.
He had that quote where he was like, "I took the harder road, and it got me to where I am," or whatever. I'm paraphrasing, but it doesn't. It's not always quick and easy for goalies. There's so many other examples around the league. So let's at least have some solace and be like, okay, maybe we've got a guy there, and what we've seen from him in the past, he can reproduce. Is it going to happen this season? Maybe not, but it's nice to see that Levi Merlainen does not look completely broken anymore, I guess is what I'm saying here, Jack.
No, they needed him to find his game, right? And like that is a big positive. It is future-wise, and that's what I'm talking about. Like, they're not dead. They're not, I'm trying to think of a really bad franchise. Like, they're not the Rangers, right? Like, they've got some optimism. Tim Stützle is such a superstar. Like, they have the piece that everyone wants. Things could be a lot worse. They're just so disappointingly bad this season that it's hard to look at the big picture. But that's what Ventcast for, Pillsy. I know we looked at the big picture all night, basically, but a loss like that is just a nail in the coffin. And at home, man, I feel so bad for the fans that trekked through like minus 30 weather tonight to get to the CTC that looked like a lively building. Star Wars night. The nights that they've had and just the performances on home ice have been so unacceptable that it's a tough pill to swallow. And I just think something has to change in the offseason. I don't know what it is.
Well, Jack, when you lose 4-1 and you press the panic button and you go 50 minutes discussing what's wrong with this team and franchise, and it seems like all hope is lost, good news is we get to do it all again tomorrow at home up against the Vegas Golden Knights. You guys know we're going to be here with you for the postcast. Jack, are you doing another live stream tomorrow?
I am. I think we're nearing the spot where I stop, because when I need to be excited about goals. That's my baseline for it. So if you want to go back and look at my reaction to Timmy's, it's me basically ripping the team, saying one guy's trying tonight. So I'm close. I'll watch tomorrow. I want to see Vegas. It's a good team, so I like doing those ones too. So I'll probably do Colorado, and then they'll probably win one, and then I'll do New Jersey, and then it'll keep going, Phil. See, like I think the Olympic break is probably like the hard line where if they're out of it, I probably won't.
That's fair. Well, we'll keep it rolling for now. You can see Jack in the live stream tomorrow. We're going to have the postcast, Locked On Senators podcast back Monday. We'll see how Ross is feeling after this weekend. We didn't get to hear from him tonight. This was my turn to blow my fuse and completely have steam coming out of my ears and panic and get pissed off. So I'm sure Ross will take his spot back in that position when we hear from him. But for now, thank you to over 250 people that have been here in the chat for the whole time. Misery loves company. We couldn't do it without the passion of the great Ottawa Senators fans. Best in class is a term for this franchise. Maybe not quite accurate in some spots, but as far as Sens fans go, you guys are all best in class, and we appreciate you guys. So hit me with some GSGs in the chat. You guys know what to do as we finish up here. I'm Brandon Piller, joined by Jack Richardson. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast. It's your team every day.